गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल एंड गुड मॉर्निंग टू लेट टुडे में आज गुड मॉर्निंग शिवम. हाँ यस आई वांट टू टॉक रिगार्डिंग दैट पार्ट. एक्चुअली यस्टरडे मैंने 4-5 मैसेजेस रिसीव किए डिफरेंट नंबर से रिगार्डिंग काउंसलिंग एंड आपका नाम नहीं था, तो बेटर है कि आपने जिस नंबर से किया है एंड ऑल द नंबर्स आर विदाउट एनी और फेस से भी मैं पहचान नहीं पा रही हूँ, तो आप अपना नेम वहां पे लिख दीजिएगा उस मैसेज में. सो इमीडिएटली आफ्टर दिस क्लास आई विल प्रोवाइड यू द आंसर्स. ओके, और आज हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना नेक्स्ट टॉपिक दैट जिम्नोस्पर्म. and that main reason is that to none of them I provide the proper answer, so you write your name in that message. so today I will give you the answer. ठीक है, अब देखिए यहाँ पे हम लोग लास्ट क्लासेस से स्टार्ट कर रहे थे. इन क्लास 11th we study about the kingdom plantae, algae, bryophyta and pteridophyta. We already completed, and now we come towards the kingdom under the kingdom plantae we come towards the division gymnosperm. Slowly you remember evolutionary progresses take place or evolution of plant bodies take place, and because of that the plant body become more and more complex. Algae and bryophyta multicellular, pteridophyta tissue level organization, xylem and phloem for the first time develop. Secondly, in algae and bryophyta main body is gametophyte, that is haploid body. From pteridophyta the parent body or main body is diploid, and it is called as sporophyte because it is responsible for the production of spore. And after that main body is divided into root, stem and leaf. Specialized reproductive organs are start to be produced. So here we come towards the study of gymnosperms. When we study about gymnosperms, so here you remember two terms are there, that one is gymno, that means naked or commonly without coat or without integument. एंड नेक्स्ट हम यहाँ पे स्टडी करते हैं sperm word is from sperma, that is seeds. So here you remember plant with naked seeds are called gymnosperms. So those plant or the number of plants we study that produces a seed, but seeds are not protected inside the coats or integument. Such seeds are called as naked seeds, and the plants of this category are placed under the gymnosperm. Now when we come towards gymnosperm, so basically you remember these plants are predominantly present in arid zone. Arid zone means too much high temperature is there or too much colder areas are there. So in alpine region we commonly appear some of the plant species, and in arid zone also or in dry region also we appear the gymnospermic species. So in both regions we appear when we study about gymnosperm. So most importantly you remember most important examples for gymnosperms are Pinus and Cycas. Pinus you remember one of the most important example, that number of questions are asking regularly from the Pinus. Separately Pinus prepared kariya. Some of the important questions repeatedly asking from the Pinus section. So quite in detail you have to go for the Pinus. अब यहाँ पे देखिए and another is Cycas. In addition to that one ephedra is provided. So when we study about the habit, so habit means what is the habit of the plant, tree, herbs or shrubs. So predominantly you remember the most of the gymnosperms are tree, but ephedra when we study, so ephedra you remember, ephedra is one of the climber. So this is the one species which is climber, otherwise all the species in gymnosperms predominantly show the tree habit in nature. Secondly, ephedra, you remember ephedra, if we come towards the economic botany or economic importance of plant, so ephedra you remember is one of the important source of the drug, that drug is called as ephedrine. तो ये आप याद रखिएगा कि ये इम्पोर्टेंट सोर्स है आपका, एफिड्रा इज ए इम्पोर्टेंट सोर्स फॉर द ड्रग एफिड्रिन, रेस्पिरेटरी डिसऑर्डर्स में इसको हम यूज करते हैं. सेकेंडली, व्हेन वी कम टुवर्ड्स द habit of the plant, so as we all are knowing, trees are divided into root, stem and leaf. So here also you remember in gymnosperm plant body now very well differentiate into root, stem and leaves, and this differentiation actually begins from the pteridophyta. In pteridophyta for the first time आपने appear किया है that the body is differentiated into root, stem, leaf. Now more differentiated body, when we come towards and individually here we study all these structure. Root is most important part here. When we study the root, morphology of root in gymnosperm, so predominant root you remember, predominant root is taproot system. What is taproot? What is fibrous root? That we study in morphology of angiosperm. So here you remember root is a taproot. What is taproot? They all are you knowing very well. And in addition to taproot, root also show some of the symbiotic association. This part is important for NEET exam. So symbiotic association you remember important. This symbiotic association is of two types. First you study that mycorrhizal root. So mycorrhizal root we study, or mycorrhiza commonly, mycorrhizal root, and second we study about the second important symbiotic association is coralloid root. So these two, when we come towards the examples, in which gymnosperm we appear mycorrhiza and in which gymnosperm we appear coralloid root. So mycorrhizal roots you remember, mycorrhizal roots are predominantly present in pinus. So this part you remember, and regarding this mycorrhizal root on 186 page number of NCERT Plant Physiology, where we study the apoplast and symplast pathway for water transport and water absorption. In that section 186 page number beginning में है आपका, in that part the importance of mycorrhiza is provided for pinus. That one statement is provided, and last year from that statement already question is asked in NEET that the seeds of pinus can't be germinate without mycorrhiza association. So page number 186, this line is provided in NCERT. So you put mark important over that line, because already 1 year question is asked that if mycorrhiza is absent in seeds of pinus, so the seed can't be germinated. Secondly, when we come towards individually, we study what is mycorrhizal roots and what is coralloid root. Coralloid root, when we come towards coralloid root, so this symbiotic association you remember, this symbiotic association is present in cycas. So these two examples you remember very well, pinus for mycorrhiza and cycas for coralloid root. Now one by one in very short we understand that what is mycorrhiza, for what purpose it is developed in pinus, and how the roots of cycas or how the coralloid root of cycas are differ from the mycorrhizal root. So that part you remember. Now when we come towards the mycorrhiza, so mycorrhiza you remember, I wrote this part because otherwise every time we shift the position of camera, so that's why I only use this much of board. माइकोराइजा ऑलरेडी स्टडी करते हैं हम फंजाई में माइकोराइजा, एंड इन दैट सेक्शन वी स्टडी द माइकोराइजा इन वेरी डिटेल. सो माइकोराइजल रूट यू रिमेंबर, symbiotic association between root of pinus plus hyphae of fungi. First thing you remember. When we study about hyphae of fungi, so which fungi? It is also provided in class 12th syllabus. The glomus genus of fungi. You remember very well that the glomus genus of fungi is responsible for the formation of mycorrhiza. Secondly, what happened here? Because of the mycorrhiza root, the surface area for increases. So there is a surface area increase in surface area. So surface area increases for absorption of mineral and water. So mineral and water. Now what kind of mineral? This part also you remember, number of minerals. But when mycorrhiza are developed in root, so root you remember specifically increases the uptake of phosphate ion. So this part also you remember. In terms of mineral, what kind of absorption increases? So mycorrhiza is increases absorption of or availability of phosphate ion. So this you remember one time. Okay, Shubhrat Singh. Hello beta. Good morning. Okay, and stay connected with Biozone classes for preparing if you are a student of NEET 2021 class 12th sessions on TTS and class 11th sessions we conducted regularly on MWF, and basically we prepared for NEET 2021. Okay, so here mainly we today discuss about the gymnosperm, and in gymnosperm we discuss about the mycorrhizal root. So this you remember, it is increases for mycorrhiza is responsible for increase in mineral and water absorption. Secondly, phosphate ion absorption is increased by the mycorrhiza, and the food which is to be provided. So root provide food. Root means the plant. Which plant? Pinus plant. So root provide food in terms of, this question also asked that what kind of food is provided to the fungi in mycorrhiza association. So food you remember carbohydrate, and along with carbohydrate हम study करते हैं along with carbohydrate. So carbohydrate plus some of the nitrogenous compound mentioned, again this part is also mentioned on page number 186 of class 11th NCERT, that in mycorrhiza association plant provide food in terms of carbohydrate and nitrogenous compound. So this part you remember for the mycorrhiza. When we study about the second type of symbiotic association, that is coralloid root. So in coralloid root you remember, coralloid root is predominantly, as we already mentioned, coralloid root is present in cycas. And secondly, when you study about the cycas or when you discuss about the coralloid root, so this you remember, it is symbiotic association between root of cycas and blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. So this you remember here, the symbiotic association. This kind of question also you prepared when you prepared for the NEET, that the symbiotic association in which both the partners are eukaryote, that is a mycorrhizal association. That fungi also eukaryote and plant is also eukaryote. Association, symbiotic association between the prokaryote and eukaryote. So this is the coralloid root, because the cyanobacteria or blue-green algae are prokaryote and they symbiotically grow in the root cells or cortex cells of the cycas plant. Now why they are called coralloid root? Because when the excessive growth of blue green algae is take place. Excessive growth हो रही है blue green algae की inside the cortex cells of the root. So excessive growth के कारण यहाँ पे आप याद रखिए जो blue green algae है it develop a coral like structure. That means coral आपने कहाँ पे पढ़ा हुआ है? You already you studied that in chapter 4 Coelenterata phylum, and in Coelenterata phylum we study some of the member of Coelenterata responsible for coral formation. So when corals are formed, so similarly corals originally formed by the members of Coelenterata, but here you remember the blue green algae when excessively grow inside the root of cycas plant, so the structure of root is appear like a coral, and because of that the roots are said to be coralloid root. And here when we come towards symbiotic association, so what kind of symbiotic association? So blue green algae or cyanobacteria, predominantly nostoc, you remember, grow inside the roots of cycas. Blue green algae fix atmospheric nitrogen and make it available or provide it to the root of the plant or provide it to plant. In terms you remember, plant is cycas plant, you remember, so plant cycas provide shelter as well as, so here what the plant is providing in terms of this nitrogen, so plant provides shelter plus food. Again the food is produced, this is in the form of carbohydrate. So cycas roots provide shelter and food to that blue green algae, and because of that the roots show the coral like structure. This kind of roots are helpful in increasing conditions of the nitrogen fixation. So these two conditions you remember when you go through the NCERT for gymnosperm. So only examples are provided there, but if example is provided that means you have to study that part in quite detail. So pinus show the mycorrhizal roots and cycas show the coralloid root, and in rest of the gymnosperms normally taproot system is present. Here also taproots are present, but these taproots get modified in some of the spatial symbiotic association. After that now we come towards the stem. Stem here you remember the branch and unbranched, two types of, both the type of stem you appear in case of gymnosperm. Unbranched stem you appear in cycas, and branch stem mostly you appear a branch stem in most of the other members. So when you discuss about the stem, so and if you feel any doubt, so you can ask those doubts also. So when we study about the stem, so stem you remember unbranched and branched. Unbranched stem you remember, unbranched stem present in cycas, and this stem is called codex. Now what is codex? Palm-like habitat. The stem is present with persistent leaf bases, and the number of leaves are present at the apex. So that kind of stems are commonly called as codex, and codex you remember, codex are unbranched stem which is only present in a gymnosperm, that is cycas. Gymnosperm cycas, they are also present in angiosperm also, but in under the category of gymnosperm or division gymnosperm, cycas only show this kind of habit, that is the codex. So here you remember the branch stem means the branching is either profusely or excurrent branching. In pinus when you study, so branch stem, pinus show excurrent branching. Excurrent branching means the pattern of branching in plant is available in such a way, because of that from a long distance pinus tree gives the cone or pyramid-like appearance. So cone or pyramid-like structure is appear from a long distance when that kind of branching is called as excurrent branching. And when you appear the branching, so two types of branches are there: branches of limited growth and branches of unlimited growth. So branches limited growth means after some specific time the growth of these branches gets stopped because the reproductive organs male and female cones are developed at the end of these branches, and main shoot is generally called as branches of unlimited growth. Unlimited means they are continuously growth throughout the life. So unlimited growth branches are also called as long shoots, and the branches of limited growth are commonly called as dwarf shoot. So this part you remember very well, and after that we come towards, this is the branch structure: ginkgo, neetum. Number of examples are there. Only 2-3 examples are provided: Cycas, Pinus, and one another example is provided. That example is commonly ginkgo. Diagram is also provided for ginkgo. Shubhrat Singh. Yes, beta, phosphorus. Yes, phosphorus is absorbed by mycorrhiza, but that phosphorus is absorbed in terms of phosphate ion. That you remember. Okay. So phosphate is absorbed, phosphorus absorbed by mycorrhiza, increase होता है phosphorus absorption, but phosphorus is absorbed in terms of phosphate ion, and that is also unbranched in Cycas. Clear? And in Cycas, what kind of, that the unbranched stem of, for objective purpose you remember, the unbranched stem is provided one term that is called as codex. So good, it is good that you know the basic things. So stay connected with again channel, and if you feel any doubt or difficulty, so you can ask those difficulties also. In Pinus you remember excurrent branching. Just like a Christmas tree, commonly you observe a Christmas tree, and we observe Christmas tree from a long distance. So that tree also provide a cone or pyramid like. Similarly, Pinus also provide that kind of appearance. And Pinus show the two types of branches. When you study regarding the branching, so ginkgo you remember, you very well prepare one statement for the ginkgo, that ginkgo is commonly called as a living fossil. So among all gymnosperm, the very less number of members are ginkgo present today, and that ginkgo is called as living fossil. Ginkgo is very well known for is the specific shape of the leaves, and one of the reason that is not in our syllabus, but the leaves are mainly excessively used by the tribal peoples, initially wild people, for the clothing purpose, for the shelter purpose, and because of that slowly the ginkgo today comes under the category of living fossils. So for ginkgo also diagram is provided in NCERT. Now after that we come towards the leaves, that what kind of leaves are present in gymnosperm, because one by one we study about the morphology. Actually first we study about the morphology, then we come towards the reproductive structure, that is male cone and female cone. Secondly, how the gymnosperm, when we study about cones, so then we study that how the gymnosperms are little bit differ from the pteridophyta. तो यहाँ पे अब हम ये study करते हैं stems के part में. So when we discuss about this part, so leaves means basically photosynthetic leaves are there, as well as sporophylls. Sporophylls we already studied in pteridophyta. During reproduction, spore bearing leaves or spore producing leaves are called as sporophylls. So in gymnosperm we study about types of leaves. When we study about types of leaves, so first leaf you remember simple leaf. That simple leaf is commonly it is called foliage, and photosynthetic leaves. So the normal leaves that we appear, such leaves. Secondly, this simple leaf in cycas show parallel venation. Parallel venation, one question is already asked. So that parallel specific venation is called as circinate venation in case of cycas. So circinate venation means the parallel venation, but the leaf is fragmented into a number of leaflets and all the leaflets are parallelly arranged, so that specifically it is term is used, that is the circinate venation. After that, when we come towards the another kind of leaf, so second leaves are there, that is scale leaf. Scale leaf, you remember, these are the protective leaf and these leaves are present around the male and female cone. So to provide a protection to reproductive organs, protective leaves are present. These are called scale leaves. Scale leaves, you remember, these leaves are quite hard and brown in color. Secondly, somewhat they are spiny. So spine-like leaves are there, hard and brown in color. Third kind of leaves we studied, that is the sporophyll. Sporophyll, two types of sporophyll as we studied in Pteridophyta, that microsporophyll. Microsporophyll is responsible for the development of male cone, and in microsporophyll, inside the microsporangium, microspores are produced. So microsporophyll is the leaf which bear microsporangium and show the development of microspore. When we come towards the female cone, so female cone, you remember, is consist of megasporophyll, larger size of leaf involved in the development of megaspore, and always remember microspores and megaspores are produced inside the sporangium, respective sporangium. Now when we study separately, when we come towards the reproduction, so we study that how the micro and megasporophyll differ from each other, and specifically for simple leaf, one question is asked in Pinus, that the Pinus needles refers to, Pinus needle, you remember, Pinus needle refers to simple leaf, because the simple leaf in Pinus get modified into a needle-like structure to reduce the rate of transpiration. So Pinus needle, you remember, Pinus needle is a simple leaf, and this simple leaf, photosynthetic leaf, and generally in Pinus, from every node 2 or 3 needle-like leaves to be produced. From every node, either 2 leaves are produced. There are the different species in Pinus. So in different species of Pinus, the number of needles vary from every node. So here you remember, in some species only 2 needles are produced, in another species 3 needles are produced, and needles means, you remember, the simple photosynthetic leaves which are modified into the needle-like structure to prevent the loss of water by transpiration. In this condition it is called as bispur, and this condition is called as trispur. So these terms also you remember, the needles in Pinus are present in terms of bispur or trispur. And after that we come towards this part, you remember, for the leaf section of the gymnosperm, and after that we come towards the reproduction. When we study about reproduction in higher plants, so higher plant means gymnosperm and angiosperm. So predominant mode of reproduction is there, that is the sexual reproduction. And higher plant, generally you remember, seed producing plants are commonly called as higher plants. And from Pteridophyta, the main plant body of the plant is diploid. So whatever here you study about leaf, stem, root, all the parts show the diploid cells or diploid chromosome number. So in gymnosperm also you remember, the main plant body is diploid. that main plant body, that is a tree-like body or tree, that tree is diploid, and in that tree microsporophyll and megasporophyll arranged in the form of male and female cone. In gymnosperm, you remember, flowers are not present. That's why generally they are called as flowerless plant. And this is one reason that due to absence of flower, यहाँ पे ovules develop हो गए हैं. That's why seeds are present. But ovules are without integuments, as well as ovary is not developed. So slowly evolutionary events are appear कर रहे हैं. Pteridophyta, embryo development is appear for the first time, but seeds are not developed. In gymnosperm, seed development is appear for the first time, but the fruit is not appear. Secondly, जो seeds हैं, those seeds भी आपके किस part में, किस form में? Seeds are naked. Seeds means the integuments are completely absent. एडिशनल पार्ट रिप्रोडक्शन में हम पढ़ते हैं, यहाँ भी याद रखिएगा लार्जेस्ट ओव्यूल. इफ द क्वेश्चन इज आस्क्ड फॉर लार्जेस्ट ओव्यूल, सो लार्जेस्ट ओव्यूल यू रिमेंबर इन प्लांट किंगडम इज प्रेजेंट इन साइकस प्लांट. So cycas ovule you remember is the largest ovule and it can simply observed by the naked eyes. So that part also you remember for the objective exams. And then after we come towards the reproduction, when we study about reproduction, so here only unisexual condition is there. Now again most important conceptual part is for the pinus, that the pinus tree is a bisexual, but it produces cones, male cones and female cones on different branches. So when we study about the reproduction, so in reproduction you remember cycas is dioecious or unisexual. So male cone and female cones produces on different plants, or the male plant of cycas and female plant of cycas is entirely different. But when we come towards pinus, this is most important for your NEET exam. So in pinus you remember plant is dioecious, but it produces monoecious cones. So here you remember it is responsible for the production of monoecious cones. Now what do we understand by monoecious cone? That means the cone only produces a single type of spore. So suppose this is a plant of the pinus and these are the different branches growing over the main stem. So some of the branches are male branches and some of branches are female branches. Male branch only produces male cone and the female cones are developed on female branch. So that's why we say though the plant is dioecious or plant हम study कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? Plant is sorry, it is not 1 minute. It is sorry. Okay, pinus plant you remember plant is monoecious and opposite कर दिया है मैंने, ठीक है? Plant is monoecious or you remember plant is bisexual. Sorry again. And but it produces cones, unisexual cones. So it produces dioecious cone. Dioecious cone means unisexual cone. Okay. So revise this part again one time. Slip of tongue. Sometime it happens. So pinus you remember pinus plant is bisexual or monoecious. So it produces both the kinds of cones or bear both the type of cones, but both the cones, male and female cones, they are developed on a different branches. So this is the special condition present in pinus. Cycas plant is dioecious or plant is unisexual and it produces only a single type of cone. So male plant produces male cone and female plant produces a female cone. Now what is cone? Because in Pteridophyta we use the term strobilus and here we use the term cone. So cones means, you remember, the spiral arrangement of sporophyll. So whether it is microsporophyll or megasporophyll, these sporophylls spirally arranged on central axis and their spiral arrangement will lead to the production of one cone-like structure. If microsporophyll, then it is called male cone. If megasporophyll, then it is called female cone. Now what is the difference between cone and strobilus? So in strobilus, you remember, these sporophylls are loosely attached. Loosely attached means you can easily remove one by one each and every sporophyll. But in case of cones, normally up to class 11th level, in very easy terms I explain that strobilus means the loose arrangement of sporophylls, or as you appear a rose flower, petals are arranged at a specific distance, so you can remove each and every petal from each other. But if you appear datura flower or any gamopetalous flower, so you can't separate the petals because all the petals are fused with each other. So in the same way, strobilus means loose arrangement of sporophylls, and यहाँ पे आपका when we use the term cones, तो cones में आप याद रखिएगा जो आपके sporophylls होते हैं, these sporophylls are closely associated with each other. So you can cut the sporophyll, but you can never separate the sporophyll from one and other. So that part you remember. Now when we come towards the reproduction, so here you remember cones develop on main plant body. This main plant body is diploid and the diploid body inside the cone directly produces sporangium. So suppose this is microsporophyll. At the surface of microsporophyll, one sporangium is there. So this you remember, this is the microsporophyll. Microsporophyll show the development of microsporangium, and in microsporangium, by the process of meiosis, haploid microspores are produced. Microspore formation is exactly similar to that of angiosperm. So microsporangium is having a mass of diploid cells, that is microspore mother cell. Megaspore is also diploid in nature, but these microspores are produced after meiosis. That's why meiosis in microspore mother cell or microsporocyte cells. Therefore, these microspores are haploid. The structure of microspore in gymnosperm is exactly similar to the pollen grains or the microspores of the angiosperm that you studied in your class 12th syllabus chapter 2nd reproduction in flowering plants में study करते हैं. Now, when you appear the structure of megasporophyll, so megasporophyll are quite large leaves. They show the presence of megasporangium, and inside that megasporangium, you remember, only a single megaspore is present. So similar to microsporophyll, this is megasporophyll. Here it is megasporangium, and this haploid megaspore. So here also remember that the megaspore mother cell, inside the megasporangium, initially megaspore mother cell is there. This megaspore mother cell is diploid cell and it enters in meiosis division or reduction division, that is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, and after that it will lead to the production of linear megaspore tetrad Out of that, 3 megaspore degenerate and only 1 megaspore remain functional. That's why in megasporangium, only a single functional megaspore is generally present. So in this way, you remember the megaspores are developed inside megasporangium. They remain present inside megasporangium, and in its megasporangium, this megaspore lead to the development of female gametophyte. So now the gametophytic generations are start in gymnosperm. So main plant body is sporophyte. It produces a spore in terms of microspore and megaspore, and the another body means another generation gametophyte. So another gametophytic generation, you remember, is developed from these spores. Microspore lead to development of male gametophyte and megaspore lead to development of female gametophyte. This female gametophyte, you remember, this female gametophyte in gymnosperm also called as archegonium. So this you remember very well. Archegonium is a female gametophyte. How many groups are there where the archegonium represent female gametophyte? So 3 groups you remember, or 3 divisions: Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, and in gymnosperm. These are the 3 groups where the archegonium is a female gametophyte. So this you remember. And now what is happening? These microspores. When the plenty of microspores are produced inside the microsporangium, they exert pressure on the wall of microsporangium, and after that this microsporangium get burst, and due to that these microspores are releases in air. So here you remember dependency up to Pteridophyta. Dependency over the water is essential because male gametes are flagellate. In Bryophyta and Pteridophyta, you remember, male gametes are antherozoid, they are biflagellate, and that's why these male gamete needs water for their transfer towards the female gamete. But from gymnosperm, the process of pollination is begins. So this is also one advancement, that the life gradually shifted towards the soil. So dependency over water is reduces, and mainly in gymnosperm only air pollination is there. In angiosperm we study the different modes of pollination. So pollination phenomena is begins, and because of that you remember dependency over water is not required. So the gymnosperm and angiosperm distributed in all the kinds of habitat. Limitations nahi hai. Bryophyta and Pteridophyta are limited in distribution. Why? Because they depend on water for the process of fertilization. Again, main reason, the male gametes are biflagellate in Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Here the male gamete means the microspore as a pollen grain releases in environment or air. When you study about this, so remember one question is asked previously, that the phenomena of sulfur shower or yellow dust in environment. So sulfur shower or yellow dust phenomena, you remember, is related with the pollen transfer in pinus. In trees of pinus, when pollination is take place, so at the time of pollination, the large number of microsporangium releases the microspores, and free microspore is called as pollen grain. So the number of microsporangium burst at the same time, and they releases the pollen grain in environment. These pollen grains are of yellow color, so it gives the appearance of sulfur shower. So commonly sulfur shower phenomena, you remember, sulfur shower or yellow dust is related with the pollination in pinus. For objective only, you remember pollination in pinus, sulfur shower or yellow dust phenomena. Okay, so this part you remember. Now this microspore with the help of air, archegonium. Now here what is happening? This megaspore will result in the development of archegonium. What is archegonium? So similarly you remember archegonium already in last classes in Bryo and Pteridophyta. We study archegonium is a structure which is a flask shaped structure. This is the neck of simplest diagram of archegonium for up to the class 11 student. neck, and this part of the lower bulbous part is called as venter. At the venter show the egg at its base. So at the base of the venter, you remember egg cell or egg is present, and then here you remember this microspore with the help of air reaches towards the neck of the archegonium. Here it germinates and produces the pollen tube. So pollen grain process is exactly similar to angiosperm. Pollen tube is take place, and inside that pollen tube male gametes are present, and one of the male gametes get fused with the egg cell and responsible for the formation of zygote. Okay, so here you remember male gametes are non-motile. In Bryo and Pterido, male gametes are motile, and Gymnosperm and Angiosperm male gametes are non-motile, and they carry towards the female gamete by pollen tube. So this part you remember very well. You remember this part that the male gametes are motile in two plant divisions, that is the Gymnosperm and Angiosperm, and because of that the process of pollination is developed during the course of evolution. So this part is clear. Okay, now when you come towards the dependency of gametophyte and sporophyte. So sporophyte means tree or main plant body. It is autotrophic and it is independent. But this female gametophyte, you remember, the female gametophyte is dependent on the main body, that is the sporophyte. So gametophyte is not independent. Gametophyte is dependent over the sporophyte. Which gametophyte? So that also you remember, the female gametophyte in Gymnosperm is dependent over the main plant body, that is the sporophyte. So this part you remember for the Gymnosperm. Now after that what is happening when the fertilization phenomena is take place? So after fertilization we study 1 minute. Yes, siphonogamy. Siphonogamy means the process by which pollen grain produces a pollen tube. Siphonogamy, that process is called, this is the pollen grain, and this pollen grain you remember from the germ tube produces the pollen tube. Pollen tube is a filamentous structure. Siphon means filament. So it is a filamentous structure, and this filamentous structure, siphon-like structure, is reaches towards the archegonium, and this pollen tube carry the male gamete. Clear? So this part you remember. Out of two male gamete, only one male gamete. Triple fusion is not present in Gymnosperm. Triple fusion or double fertilization is a characteristic property, so that we will discuss in Angiosperm. But here you remember, siphonogamy means the process by which pollen tube like a siphon structure grow towards the archegonium or female gametophyte. Okay, so I good that you are knowing so many basic terms for the Gymnosperm also. So after fertilization हम study कर रहे हैं. Fertilization के बाद यहाँ पे when the fertilization is take place, it is not dependent on water. Firstly you remember, and due to fertilization the diploid zygote is formed. So diploid zygote here you remember, and one most important question you remember here, that the nature of endosperm. See, double fertilization is absent. Endosperm, when we study about the reproduction in angiosperm, class 12th syllabus, second chapter. So we study after double fertilization or triple fusion, the triploid tissue is developed in angiosperm, that is the endosperm, and it is highly nutritive tissue. But in case of Gymnosperm also you remember, endosperm is present, but the process of triple fusion or double fertilization is completely absent. Then how this endosperm develop and what is the nature of this endosperm? So in Gymnosperm you very well remember, endosperm is haploid tissue, and this endosperm in Gymnosperm is developed before fertilization. It developed before fertilization from any of the haploid cell of female gametophyte. So that you remember, female gametophyte means archegonium. So any one haploid cell of the female gametophyte before fertilization. In angiosperm, endosperm is developed after fertilization by the process of triple fusion or double fertilization, and that process is identical for the angiosperm. So this part you very well remember, because this question also repeatedly asks that the nature of endosperm or the chromosome number in endosperm. So chromosome number in endosperms you remember is a haploid chromosome number in case of the gymnosperm, because it is a product of before fertilization, processes or development of before fertilization. Now when the fertilization takes place, this diploid zygote will undergoes a mitosis. So this difference you always remember in case of algae. Every classes I repeated this thing because this is most important. In algae, zygote immediately undergoes in meiosis division. It never enters in mitosis or it never enters in resting period. In bryophyta, zygote enters in sporophyte development. So diploid zygote in bryophyta gives the sporophytic generation, and then inside the sporophyte meiosis division lead to the haploid spores. But from pteridophyta, that is in pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperm, this diploid zygote always enters in mitosis. Even in case of animals also we observe cleavage. We say that mitosis division in zygote in animals is called as cleavage. So that zygote is divides by mitosis and it differentiates into embryo. This embryo is protected inside the seed, but seed is present without coat. Reason behind that, the ovaries are not developed in angiosperm, only ovules are present. So because of that, the seeds are developed, and these seeds either go in a temporary period of dormancy, and after completion of dormancy period or resting period, seeds germinate and again produces the new plant. For this you remember again, I revise page number 186, most important part, that the seeds of pinus can't be germinate without mycorrhiza. So for the germination of seeds in pinus, mycorrhiza association must be required. So this much part you remember for the gymnosperm. Today we are not study about the life cycle of gymnosperm, because the life cycle of gymnosperm is nearly similar with the angiosperm. So in next class we first discuss about the angiosperm in very short, because we already know, and in next chapters when we come towards the morphology of flowering plant, anatomy of flowering plant, so we discuss about totally about the angiosperm. So first we discuss about, in next session we discuss first about the angiosperm, life cycle patterns in planty kingdom, that is aplontic, haplodiplotic, diplohaplontic, as well as the diplontic life cycle. What are these four life cycle? NCERT only provided 3 patterns of life cycle, and that we will shift towards our next chapter. So stay motivated and stay connected up to next session. In case if you feel any doubts, if you feel any difficulty in any of the topic, then you ask those difficulties and doubts, and up to next session all of you stay connected. 1 minute is there. Okay, ecology classes. Actually in class 12th I begins with genetics. So chapter 5th is over, and from tomorrow chapter 6th I will begins with the chapter 6. So first I will finish that chapter 6, molecular basis of inheritance. Then after we will come towards the ecology. Now because these sessions I conducted according to the demand of the students. So as the students demanding for different different topics and chapters, so we will continue. So first actually students demanding for in class 12 for genetics, that chapter 5th and chapter 6th. So chapter 5th is over. Pedigree questions are also we discussed in last class, so you stay connect. Learn molecular basis of inheritance from my side also, so you very well clear some of the doubts if you have, and then after we come towards the ecology section. Okay, so ecology also we will continue. So now I sum up my session, and stay blessed all of you and stay connected.